Okay, hello, welcome to this 30-minute practice. Today's practice is going to be floor-based, which means we won't really be doing any standing postures. So we'll be really focusing on getting into the lower half of the body, opening up and mobilizing through the major joints, so ankles, knees, and hips. So there'll be some nice hip openers, as well as a little bit of mobility. So some deeper stretches and then some kind of more dynamic work. So take a moment to organize yourself in your space, getting comfortable. You can sit with your legs crossed, you can sit kneeling, or you can sit with your legs extended out, or if you'd like, you can do this practice sitting on a chair. You might take a few deeper breaths here, bringing all of your focus, all of your attention to the movement of breath in through the nostrils, into the body, and all the way back out again. If it's useful to you for your awareness to constrict the muscles of your throat slightly and make the breathing a little more audible, you're welcome to do that, engaging what we call in yoga Ujjayi Pranayama. Just over these next 5 breaths, allow the in-breath to have a quality of energizing, enlivening, filling the space of the torso. And as you exhale, just feel a sense of anchoring, grounding, and stability, a subtle softening, letting go, and arriving here in this moment. Inhaling to draw in energy, awareness, and exhaling, landing here. Just a couple more breaths in this way. And as you're ready, just start to move your head side to side in whatever pace suits you. Try to continue with an awareness of your breath. So dropping head side to side toward the shoulder and gently drawing down through opposite shoulder. You might hold for a few breaths, or you might just move side to side with each breath. Last one each side. If you'd like to take any larger movements, perhaps a full circle of the head and neck in each direction, just doing that now. Or maybe stretching through the back of the neck by taking the chin toward the chest. So just noticing whatever it is that you need. And taking this opportunity to meet those needs. And bringing your head back to neutral. If your eyes have been closed, you can open your eyes or you can keep them closed. I'm going to extend the legs out in front. And separate the feet so they're about the width of the mat or just inside, if you're working with a mat, otherwise just outside the width of the hips. So if it's comfortable for you, sitting on the floor as you are, that's fine. Know that you can also place a bit of support underneath the buttocks to support the torso and the spine. Otherwise, you can place the hands behind you and just take a little bit of a lean back if that feels better. So in this position, just bringing your awareness now to your feet, to your ankles. Taking a deep breath in, releasing all the way out. And then on your next inhale, pull the toes back toward you. Exhale, point the toes away. So slowing the breath, inhale, drawing back. Exhale, reaching forward. And just 3 more of these. Inhale, pulling back. Breathing out, reaching toes forward, and just really feeling into the sensations of your ankles, maybe your lower legs as you go through this movement. Last one. Now keeping your toes pointing forward, we're going to move into rotation. So now toes move out to opposite directions and then pull back. Then folding toes in toward the center and forward. So now full rotations from the ankles. Heels on the floor, or if you'd like, if it's better for you, you can lift your heels up. Just continuing to keep your attention, your awareness on the sensations of the movement and also on the movement of your breath, and maybe synchronizing breath and movement together. Reversing, going back the opposite way. So changing the direction, continuing with your rotations. Allowing everything to slow down, breath and movement together. One more time in this direction. And then relaxing the feet. So from here, we'll bring the sole of the right foot to the ground, reach the hands behind the hamstring, so the upper leg, the back of the knee. Take a little lean back, straighten up the arms, and then lift that right foot up off the floor, pointing the toes forward. So we want to try to isolate this next movement to the knee joint. I'm going to move in circles from the knee joint. So you can imagine that you're drawing a circle with your big toe in the air in front of you. So keeping your hip fairly still and just moving, rotating from the knee. And once you've got that movement, bringing your attention back to your breath. Just check that the ankle isn't moving here as well. You've got your toe pointed and it's just the joint of the knee moving. Going back the opposite way. Just a couple more of these. And now bringing the foot to the floor again, nice and close into the buttocks, dropping the right knee out to the right and sliding that right foot inside the left thigh so it's touching or as close as you can get. If that feels okay, you want to go a little bit deeper, you can bring that foot to the top of the thigh. And just a little bit of movement through the hip here. So breathing in, draw the knee to the side ribs. And then as you breathe out, press the knee down toward the ground as you extend up through your spine. So keeping the spine long as you move. It's a really gentle pressure, knee toward the floor, just enough to get a bit of a stretch. Not enough to hurt yourself or pull a muscle. A bit of a knee-hip combo here. This movement is really beneficial for mobility in the hips. If you're someone that has a hard time sitting legs crossed on the floor or getting up and down off the floor, doing 20 rounds of this each leg each day will bring quick benefits. Last one there, and then we're going to grab outside of the right foot with the left hand and outside of the knee with the right hand and start to make circles from the hip with that right leg. So moving in an outward direction first, back across to the left, out to the right. So again, awareness is on the movement and the sensations of the movement, so probably through the hip, maybe in the knee. I know that if you experience any kind of cracking or clicking of the joints, that's okay, so long as it's not associated with any pain. So now going back the opposite way, making the circles with the leg any size you'd like. So as big or as small as you'd like. Just do 3 more in this direction. Coming back and over to the left. And then hugging your right shin now, your right lower leg, and as close as you can to your torso, sole of the foot pointing to the left, and see if you can get a nice right angle here. So pulling your left foot in, sorry, right foot in, right shin in, toes flexed toward the ceiling. You can take a little rock from side to side here. And then release down. So do the exact same sequence on the opposite side. Just check your awareness as on the practice, coming back from any thoughts you might have been entertaining. Bringing the sole of the left foot to the ground, interlacing fingers at the back of the leg, leaning back, straightening up the arms, making sure the chest stays a little lifted here, shoulders back and down, lifting the left toes, pointing the toes, and rotating from the left knee. Bringing some awareness also to the breath. You might notice here as well, there's a gentle engaging necessary for the lower belly to support this slightly reclined position and the control of the leg as well. And then going back the opposite way. Couple more. And resting left foot down, pull it in nice and close to the buttocks. So drop the knee over to the left. Option to bring the left foot on top of the right thigh if you'd like, if that feels good. Not if it just looks good. Keep the foot on the ground unless it's a comfortable position for you to be in. So now breathing in, drawing the left knee to the side of the torso and breathing out, gently pressing knee down toward the ground. Keep lifting tall through the top of the head. Draw all of your attention to the movement, to the sensations, to the breath. Lots of different things to kind of anchor your mind on, helping you stay present, or just to come back to when you notice that you've gone off into thought. So yoga is much more of a practice for the mind as it is the body. We use these two together as a really effective way to bring ourselves into the present moment and to also kind of cultivate this sense of loving kindness towards ourselves, which can be quite challenging to have in day-to-day life. So it's just a practice like everything else. One last time there. Grabbing the outside of the left foot with the right hand, outside of the left knee with the left hand, and starting to make some circles. So the movement is predominantly in the left hip. There's also a little bit of movement to the knee. Staying with the breath. A couple more this way. And going back in the opposite direction. A couple more. Then as best as you can, hugging the shin in towards the torso. You can wrap your arms around the lower leg if that's available to you. Maybe take a little rock. Lifting tall through the spine, through the upper body. Oh, releasing down. Give the legs a little bit of a shake out. Then we'll cross the shins to move on to hands and knees. And focusing on the sacrum, the lower back, as the initiator of this movement, we'll go through 5 cat-cow. So tailbone tilts up, the rest of the spine undulates. And now tucking your tailbone under and feeling the rest of the spine follow as you bring your chin to your chest and round your back, press the floor away. And tilting the tailbone up toward the sky, opening your chest forward, lifting the gaze, shoulders back, and then exhale, rounding in. 3 more, keeping that movement, initiating in the pelvis, lower back area. Back to a neutral spine, tucking the right toes under, then sending the right toes out to the right, keeping your knee on the ground to begin with. Ground the toes on the floor, so it will be slightly off the mat, about 45 degrees. Now we're going to lift the knee to the ceiling as we drop the heel to the ground. So in this position here, taking a deep breath in, and as you exhale, sitting your bum back toward that heel. Knee pointing toward the sky, walk the fingers forward if you can, or if that feels good. And just allowing your torso to release down toward the ground to whatever degree you can manage. Feel free to adjust, shift side to side or forward and back to find the spot that feels best for you. A little bit of discomfort's okay. A little bit of discomfort takes us towards positive change, whether that's mentally or within the body, within the muscle tissue. And just training ourselves to be a little more comfortable with a bit of discomfort. Now coming forward, shoulders over the wrists, drop that right knee down to the ground, bring the right foot behind, now taking left toes out to the left, lifting the knee as you drop the heel, left foot flat on the mat, flat on the ground, perpendicular to the mat, sitting your right buttock back and down toward that right heel. Doesn't matter if it doesn't make it. You can always use a cushion or a blanket rolled up between your heel and your bottom if that's available, just to bring that ground position a little closer, a little further up. Some deep breaths here as you focus your attention on the left hip, in the area of the left lower back, releasing tension, relaxing. And pulling each breath deep into the abdomen and all the way back out. The last couple of breaths here. And shifting forward, knee returning to the ground, ankle behind. This next movement might be useful to have a cushion or a block behind you between your feet. We're actually going to cross the knees over. So bringing the knees together underneath you. Now taking your right knee up and over behind your left. Then separate your feet as much as you can. We're going to sit back and down to the ground or to a block. So the knees kind of stack on top of each other. This is called Gomukhasana, or cow face pose. There is an upper body element to this one, but we won't get into that today. So if the ground feels really far away or getting to the ground is very uncomfortable, just lift yourself up onto some support. Or you can take the bottom leg, extend it out straight, and it's in this case the right leg. If you want to go deeper, you'll work on lining your heels up with each other. Seeing if you can balance the weight through the right and left sit bones. You can stay upright here, or you can walk the hands forward a little in front of you and bring your torso toward that top left leg, left knee. Really deep hip opener, also getting a little bit into that left glute. If it's too much, remember you've got the option to extend your right leg out, keep your left leg crossed over. Maybe take a little fold forward or just put pressure down on that top knee toward the ground. Just take 5 more breaths here. If you are leaning forward, just walk your hands back in so that you can bring your torso vertical, upright. Bring your right hand to the ground. Inhale, reach your left fingers up. And as you exhale, leaning to the right, creating a nice big arc from your left sit bone all the way up and out through your left fingers. Maybe a little turn or rotation of your chest up toward the sky. And rather than shrugging this right shoulder up to your ear, bring the bend into the elbow. One more deep breath in, and out. Coming back up, and to get out of this one, just rock forward again. You can press your hand behind you, bring yourself back up, uncross the legs, so back onto hands and knees. And this time the left leg will cross behind the right. Take the feet out to the sides. Sit yourself down either to the ground or to a cushion. Straighten out the bottom leg if you need to, or if you're working on a little bit more in your practice today, you can see if you can line those heels up with each other, line the knees up, stack them on top of each other, just kind of finessing that lower body position. You can use your hands on the feet as you lift tall through the torso just to keep them in place. You can use your hands on that top knee, pressing down, or you might lean forward, bring the hands out in front. Those are all options, and no one option is better than the other. So don't feel like you need to be, your final position needs to look a certain way. It's more about how the final position feels, and that's going to be totally different for each and every one of us. Some people that are extremely flexible through the hips might instead hold their tension in their shoulders. So one yoga practice compared to another is a very different thing depending on the person. Just remembering that approach and cultivation of loving kindness towards yourself, towards your body. And so anytime you're trying to force your body to do something that it's not ready to do, doesn't feel good doing, you're going against that. So use each position, each shape in yoga as an invitation to practice, honoring yourself, honoring your body, and what's best for you moment to moment, day to day. Last few breaths here. Walking the hands in, coming back up. And from here, we'll just lean back to extend the legs out in front, uncross. Give them a bit of a shake if you like, and then we're going to take them out quite wide. Inhale, reach your arms up, and as you exhale, twist to the right. Bring the hands either to the foot or to the ground. Bring a soft bend in that right knee. Lower your torso to the right. Take 5 breaths here. I'm going to lean a little bit to the right. Inhale, reach your left fingers up, open your torso Maybe you look up at those left fingertips, and the left fingertips can reach straight up toward the sky, or you can reach the hand over the head. Just making sure that the chest stays open. A couple of breaths. Using this right hand, press yourself up. Inhale, reach the right hand up to meet the left. Twist left, exhale, folding over the left leg. A little bend in the left knee this time. Hands wherever it feels good. 5 breaths here. Leaning into that left hand, left arm maybe, reaching the right fingers up. Option to reach straight toward the ceiling or over the head to the left. Try to keep your right toes flexed, pointing up toward the sky. If you need to, you can lift up onto the hand or bring the hand in closer if it's too deep. And pressing into that left hand, inhale, coming all the way up, reaching both hands up overhead, over shoulders, and then exhale, hands to the ground in front of you. Keep your chest open and your shoulders back, your back as flat as you can, toes pulling back. Stretching through backs of the legs, maybe lower back, maybe outer hips, turning the toes slightly out. Just a little lean forward isn't probably enough to get a good amount of stimulation, a good stretch. And as you stretch, see if you can also actively relax those muscles. And 5 more breaths here. And slowly walk your hands back in towards you. Bring the feet to the ground by bending the knees and slide them in toward each other. Actually, just take them outside the width of the hips, and we'll drop the knees from side to side. A little bit of neutralizing through hips and lower back. So we're going to come down to Shavasana now, and we'll use it as our base for a little bit of a breathing practice. So in your own time, just finding a comfortable resting position, lying on your back, turning the palms up toward the sky. And you can have your feet on the ground, maybe dropping the knees in together. Or you might extend your legs out straight. And if you're sensitive through the lower back or there's any discomfort there, if you feel the lower back lifting up off the floor, you can place something underneath your knees, a rolled up blanket, bolster if you have one, just to get the lower back in contact with the ground. Making any last little adjustments up through that position so that you can be comfortable and still. So the breathing practice we'll work with in yoga is called, just blanked on it. So it's a breath that we're going to use, Viloma, that's the name of the breathing practice, Viloma Pranayama. So there's 2 ways that we can use Viloma. Today we're going to use Viloma on the exhalation. You can also use it with inhalation, and both inhale and exhale. The reason that we're using Viloma, this technique Viloma on the exhalation today, is because this class is all about releasing and relaxing and kind of switching to that parasympathetic nervous system. So we use this breathing technique on the exhalation to take us to that place of balance and ease. So lying on your back, lying on the ground, starting to deepen your breathing and working with, if possible, a 3-part breathing where the breath begins at the lower lobe of the lungs, so you feel your belly expand out. And that same breath then lifts up into the ribs, and the ribs expand out. And that last little bit of breath travels up to the very top of the lungs, top of the chest, maybe the collarbone slightly left or the shoulders left. and exhaling all the way out. So that's just one smooth breath in, lifting from the bottom of the torso, the bottom of the lungs, all the way up to the top. And all the way out. And just feeling that movement of breath up through the body like a wave. As you breathe in, and then down through the body, releasing, relaxing as you breathe out. A couple more of those, deep breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Deep breath in. And breathing out. Beginning our Viloma, taking a deep breath in. We're going to break the exhalation up into 3. So exhale now and just release the top third of breath from your lungs and pause. Exhale, release the second third of breath from your lungs and pause. Then exhale, empty your lungs completely, pause at the end of that breath, and then inhale deeply again. Exhale, pause. Exhale a third, pause. Exhale, last of the breath out. Pause. Deep breath in. Exhale, pause. Exhale, pause. Exhale, pause. Deep breath in. Continue working this way. Exhale, pause. Exhale, pause. Exhale, pause. So it's like we're breaking that exhalation up into 3 separate exhalations, but you're still working with exhaling that same breath. As you continue with this practice, see if you can get each of your exhalations to feel the same, as if you're releasing the same amount of breath each time. Working towards perfect thirds of the breath being released. And that can take a little bit of practice. Sometimes we release, pause, and then that last exhalation, it's a whole bunch more breath that comes out. It's a bit longer, or it sounds a bit different. So just work on evening those exhalations out. For every 1 deep breath, you've got 3 exhalations to release that air. So this technique is increasing the lung capacity, also increasing our capacity to lengthen exhalation and to control the exhalation. Take 3 more breaths in this way. Without rushing any part of this process. And now allow your breathing to return to a natural and spontaneous rhythm. Let go of all control of your breathing, but keeping your attention on the movement of breath, the flow of breath. Completely releasing the weight of your body to the floor, softening and letting go. Relaxing all the muscles in the face, eyes, mouth, jaw. Relaxing through the neck, shoulders, back, the hips. Allowing the feet to roll open to the sides if your legs are extended. Whole body heavy, completely relaxed.
Give yourself a few more minutes here, up to 5 or 10 if possible. And as always, when you feel ready to move back into the rest of your day, just make a nice slow transition. Start with some small movements. Just kind of begin to draw your awareness out and into the space that you were in, using your sense of sound and hearing, your sense of sight as you blink your eyes open. Just making that transition slow and gentle, and taking as much of the benefits of this practice with you into the rest of your day. Namaste. Thanks for practice.